Welcome everybody to the Old Garb Podcast, the only podcast hosted by OGs, dedicated to the preservation of geek culture. This is your boy Wally Analog, Mr. Get Off My Lawn himself, joined by the keeper of civility and order, Rolls Royce.
Yes, sir.
We have the pleasure again by being joined by the smartest man in the CST, that is the Central Standard Time Zone, Van Everett. After having listened to his take on Andor, it was imperative that he come back and talk about another property in the MCU property out of Disney. It's a Disney theme, Van.
Yeah, it's all Disney all day.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here, man. Again,
Yes.
I don't get to do this that often on my own podcast.
Well, that being...
So, yeah. Talk about geek culture. I've been a long-time geek, but...
Yeah, but it's a part of the overall... Is that something that's not really considered to be part of the black community?
Well, no,
you can't spit it into the blurred segment and...
Well, the thing is...
Because we've been on there and you've talked about it.
Yeah, but you got to remember, I talk about everything.
Yeah, that's true.
On a weekly basis.
True.
I've done an entire episode where all we talked about was what does it mean for you as a person in a Gen Xer or an elder millennial to know what you need to do to be ready to take care of your parents if they fall ill.
Yeah,
so
that's heavy stuff,
I can't really talk about the new Green Lantern in the midst of that.
Yeah, I guess that is tough.
Yeah, you watch...
That feels more pertinent. Well, thank you for listening, everybody, and thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night. What we do pales in comparison. But we're going to do it anyway. We appreciate what you do. Real talk, because that's heavy. That's heavy. And that's why he has been shouldered with said responsibility. Because he is the smartest man in the Central Time Zone. We're glad to have him here. And if you didn't hear that Andor take, please go back and listen to the previous episode. But today we're about to talk about Thunderbolts, the most recent installment in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we had this year Captain America, and I'm talking about the movies, Captain America, Brave New World. Yep. This is excluding, obviously, Daredevil. That's TV. We're talking about the movies. Mm-hmm. Although, now, Daredevil is counted as MCU, right? Even though it's cinematic, but not, in the cinema, as it were. But yes, we're talking about movies. And so, Brave New World earlier. Now we're here to talk about Thunderbolts. And real good reviews out in the street. Rotten Tomatoes, very kind to this movie.
Yes.
I don't know where it stands right now. Can you pull that up? What is it looking at? What's it looking like right now?
Oh, it dropped off.
Sinners retook, and that's monumental, right? That's crazy that Sinners
comes back, double back, right,
and took the
drove around the block.
Yeah, but I mean, there haven't been many, and it's not necessarily a knock on Thunderbolts, but typically there haven't been many repeat viewings, done on Marvel movies. There have been, like, Infinity War was that, Endgame was that, Black Panther was that, and most of those movies that eclipsed the 1 billion was kind of those movies, Spider-Man, stuff like that.
Right.
So it's not like a common thing, but this movie is one that was pretty much set up by television series, over the course of time. On Disney Plus for the most part, right? You had what's the guy? He's not U.S.
John
agent.
Walker.
I keep calling him U.S. agent because that's
U.S.
who
agent.
is, right?
John Walker.
Yes,
U.S. agent.
He was set up in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I guess Yelena's kind of set up in movies by being
in Black Widow,
adjacent to Black Widow.
Black Widow is the first. The end. I hate that we're doing this. We'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbolts was set up. The first thought of Thunderbolts was set up in I think the end of Black Widow, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
And Yelena's in Black Widow.
Yes.
Right.
A movie that was
and
7
she
years
also-
too late.
Yeah, she also shows up in Hawkeye.
Yes,
she's
she
also
does.
in
Yes,
Right.
she does. Yeah.
And then, of course, Val is in Black Widow, and she's also in Wakanda Forever. And so, yeah.
Is Val in Black Widow? Oh, well, at the end credit scene. Yeah, at the end credit scene. Yeah.
So, yeah. Several characters, everything from
Red Guardian
and the Winter Soldier to
Black Widow.
All of those. Ant-Man and the Wasp was on the movies. But that's where Ghost comes from. So,
Right.
Yeah. They use all those characters to kind of bring this to life.
Right. A lot of them were from Black Widow, pretty much. Taskmaster, which, you know.
R.I.P.
Did he make it 2 minutes in?
There's so much stuff I want to say. Yeah.
So we're looking at 88 right now. We're looking at 88 critic score, 94 fan. I mean that's solid, bro.
Yeah.
It is solid.
That's solid.
It's solid.
Yeah. But I don't understand the hype.
Let's get into it, man.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? You know what? It would be rude to speak on it without allowing our distinguished guest
Yes.
to speak first. So you have the floor,
Okay,
Van.
well,
You have the floor.
Obviously, we talked about this a little offline. Me and Wally don't see eye to eye on it. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
And that scares me because he's the smartest man in the Central Time Zone.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. I do recognize. I think a lot of times that kind of thing can be left off to what your expectations are going into it. I just was like, okay, we're going to see what this is about. I'll give it a chance. Marvel has not done well lately, as far as I'm concerned, with many of their films.
Right.
I thought that the story had an identity, and it's something that they've been missing a lot. I thought that the identity, not only was it clear, but it worked. I thought that the central message that they were trying to drive home for this particular movie, I thought it worked. I thought that the characters, with the short amount of time and the number of characters that they had to have work against each other, this is one of the few instances since the beginning with Avengers, where they had all these different pieces from all these different properties, and they were able to make them work and flesh out. Like Ghost doesn't get a lot to work with, but generally you get an idea of who the characters are, why they are how they are, and then their character moves the story along. So it does everything that a film is supposed to do. The question becomes afterwards, do they do it effective enough to make it a great film, or is it a good film? I think it's a good film. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Okay, So
I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything.
So I would read the reports because I was late to the party, because I am less than enthusiastic about anything MCU right now, because I feel like I'm broken and scarred, you know, and I don't know if I'm justified necessarily. I'm just speaking from my perspective. So I think I saw it after everybody else had seen it, and opinions had begun to, surface. And I would read reviews and try not to get any spoiler laden ones, right? So, and I would hear things like the MCU is back, and I'm like, oh, is that right? The MCU is back. Well, maybe I should go.
Great marketing. It got you in the seat.
I'm like,
put butts in seats.
Well, it didn't put mine in there because I bootlegged it. They still haven't got my dollar. matey. So I watched it over a 48-hour period because, quite frankly, I was bored. I was bored, man, dude. Man, that movie was boring as hell to me. This is opinion, right? Like, man, I'm not interested in them characters, man. I did not like the depressed antagonist. While I understand the theme, you know, depression. I get it. But man, I'm sorry, dog. I mean,
Wally's a person that he has the handkerchief and he just like unfolds the handkerchief and there's a gun there. Just go ahead and end it right here. That's Wally.
Oh my God. So, man, man, like, and granted, it's probably unfair because I probably went in with my arms folded on the couch.
You did.
But justifiably so. Justifiably so. I would stop and load, put a load of laundry. In make a sandwich and come back. Like, dude, it took me 2 days to watch that movie.
Hold on. We can't do this, man. The views of Wally Analog are not reflective. Hold on, let me.
Apparently, they don't need my dollar. $88.94.
The views of Wally Analog are not indicative of the Old Guard Podcast, LLC. Hold on, man. Hold on. They're not indicative of the Old Guard Podcast. We watch IP in the movie theaters.
We do.
Or at home on streaming.
It was streaming.
But we do not endorse. We do not endorse bootlegging of IP created by individuals that are trying to express their creativity. Now back to the regular program.
That was well done, man. You probably should have recorded that because
I will.
It ain't gonna be last time.
I will.
You better get ready.
There's a space.
R matey. Because until you give me something worth my time, MCU. And dude, I'm sorry, dude. I was bored. Dude, I was bored, man. I was texting you. I was like, dude, man. Bro. I don't have enough words for how uninspired I was by this movie, man.
Did you bring in some? There was no expect. You didn't bring any expectations to the table, did you?
And they still managed to go beneath those.
What were your expectations?
Well, you know what? Well, here's the problem, man. Here's the problem. You can't tell me the MCU is back, bro. You can't tell me that. So I think I blame the general public.
So I guess I'm curious. When you think of the concept of the MCU being back, what does that mean for you? What does that look like for you?
It's a feeling for me.
Yeah,
I remember how I feel when I felt when the MCU was here. That ain't it.
But I'm asking. I guess what I'm asking is there anything that could have happened with these characters and a storyline about what they had it about that would have made you say the MCU was back, or does it need to be characters that you're more into?
It felt like a poor man's
Suicide Squad
/ Guardians of the Galaxy.
I thought it was better than Suicide Squad.
Yeah, see,
which one?
Yeah, that first one.
I thought it was better than either of them.
I
thought the second Suicide Squad. The second Suicide Squad was fun and it was good.
Right.
But I thought where that gave lip service to any emotional themes, this actually saw those themes through and didn't abandon them when it got easy.
I can. Yeah.
Would you say it was better than Peacemaker? Because they're all in the same vein, right? They're all with the James Gunn kind of misfit.
Peacemaker's a little different, though.
Peacemaker is excellent. That's one of the best things as far as comic book properties.
But that's just unfair, too, because that was a show.
Yeah, it was a series.
It's unfair.
Right.
So, yeah.
It had time to let...
Unfair. Yeah, that's unfair.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts, Rose?
Okay.
Hit me with everything because I didn't want to steal your thunder because I could have said some stuff you said.
As a paying customer, what were your thoughts?
I want my money back. That's what that should be thought number one. A refund.
Okay.
You should have went saw Sinners again.
Right. I think we touched on it a little bit in Andor. I think if you caught me on the right day, I might be siding with Wally, right? I think so. Let me sort out the good. So the good, I think it was a solid movie. Okay. I think, and I watched it twice.
Oh,
I paid twice.
Oh.
By the way,
one for you and one for him.
Raw.
See, we made up for it. See, look at that. It all works out in the wash.
Yeah. No. So that it didn't happen that way. But yeah. But yeah, I ended up seeing it with a friend of the podcast, Johnny Prototype. So watching it a second time, I started to appreciate it a little bit more. I will say.
Oh, he flipped on me. This ain't the conversation.
I'm not. No.
Prior to recording.
No.
I'm out here on the island, y'all.
No, I haven't finished. I haven't finished my review. My review is going to be, I'll say 70%. I'll say 75% positive, and then I'll say 25% negative, and I'm gonna get into that. So the positive, I do feel like the arrangement of characters serve the story well. I felt like this. I felt like the movie was solid for the most part. It did not rely so much on action. You know, it didn't rely like heavily on action like some of the other ones do. Because you know, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, as long as they're doing this and this, like giving me Easter eggs and they're fighting and all that stuff, it's the best Marvel movie ever. And I think that's touching on what Wally is getting at. I think this movie actually had a little restraint in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just action for action's sake. So I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the way it was. They didn't shoot it on green screen. They shot it in a way that was, if you notice, everything was gray. And they shot that intentionally. And I actually like the thought of, well, it's a commentary on depression, but even in the shooting of it,
muted tones.
It was muted tones, and they did it because there's an effect where they're going to have to use muted tones to have this overall effect when you get to the end, right? So on second viewing, I was starting to appreciate those intricacies. Talk
about what you didn't like.
Let me get to the negatives.
Yeah.
Though I said I appreciate the ragtag characters, and I feel like all of them were well placed, and yeah, that would make sense that all of them would get thrown in the mix together. And I appreciate that in terms of the film. I do feel that it's not the director's fault. I placed this at the feet of Marvel Studios. And what I mean by that is you give us these rich story arcs of characters and then just decide, Bucky's a congressman now. Wait, huh? Wait a minute. But like, this dude has killed people on American soil, and now he's a congressman, and y'all are having hearings about superpowered people, and this person is trying to, I guess, do all these experiments, and you have a guy with the bionic arm sitting there in this Congress. Like, what are we doing? Like, I think that's where my intelligence, like, why did you put him in Congress? Like, you know, and how he got to Congress, was that explained? No.
Well, I mean, we do. I mean, he in the previous movie they showed that he was running for Congress.
But why?
Well, I'll say this.
Doesn't make sense.
If you look at the current electorate in our own country, You can say that about a lot of stuff.
You have a bar. There's a bar there, but I can't give.
If criminality is the line we draw at who should and shouldn't be in elected office, then trust me, America gets worse reviews than this.
This is gonna be the only time. What you're saying is a bar, but Marvel ain't thinking that. I have to disagree with you. They're not thinking that. What they're doing here.
What does it do to the movie for you?
What harm does it do?
Because he's the most gangster dude out of all of them, and he's sitting in Congress. Go back and watch Winter Soldier and see what that dude is all about.
But he literally has made a decision that he didn't want to be a murderer anymore, and I agree. Yes. They even show him struggling with the concept of doing things in public service in this movie.
But he murdered the people in the truck.
No, I don't disagree with that. Right. I'm not even trying to say I'm not.
I mean, if we're being technical here, and again, I think this is my overall frustration. Mm-hmm. I catch myself getting technical about these little things.
Yeah.
But it's things that are obvious. Yeah. Like, and I think that's the overall frustration that I have, is Marvel has this way of just going, well, we want to get here, and the only way we're going to get here is if we just fill it with all of this crap that doesn't make any sense, and it actually insults. It insults my intelligence as somebody that can appreciate action. I can turn my brain off, but when you're asking me to. I've already turned my brain off, and then you're asking me to turn my brain off again. I think that's where I get frustrated.
I get the impression. I get the impression that both of you have ideas about characters that you like, and that those characters. Because here's what I'm saying: if I think of a murderer being in Congress, just in universe, not even talking about the real world or anything else.
Right.
I think of a man who's been a murderer to be in Congress, and he's able to kind of have the autonomy to move about however he's moving about. And he decides he wants to be a part of society, and then he jumps back out of being a part of society.
Right.
And that doesn't seem as problematic in this universe when I think that Iron Man was the first movie that they did, and he's killing people with a weapon of mass destruction. And he is considered the hero of this universe after repeatedly doing harm. And they even deal with the harm that he does, but it's never done. It's only given lip service. When you've done Sokovia, when he finally gets the suit paint, the paint has not dried on that suit before he's in the Middle East murdering people.
Okay. Again, there's two Soviet folks that are in, and again, I don't have anything with Soviet folks being in wait, what? I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, man. I felt like they did that just so they can get to the scene where he puts his arm in the dishwasher, like he's eating taco meat, and the joke is this is an assassin that has been relegated to doing civilian work. And isn't that funny, guys? This guy's eating tacos over dossiers. Read the packet. Mm-hmm. Like they wrote that in there. Read the packet, and he's eating tacos over this, and he's dripping stuff on it. And it's like, I'm gonna just put my arm in here. Hey, I get it. There got to be some funniness in all the depression, but it's like little stuff like that. Again, didn't derail the movie for me, but the moment for me, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, not on the Old Guard podcast, but the Established 1982 podcast. Uh-huh. The moment for me is when we're in Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, wait, is that it? Yeah, No Way Home. That's the last one, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, No Way Home. You have Doctor Strange in it that sets up the environment where all the Sinister Six is like coming into the universe. Uh-huh. Whether it tickles the, multiverse thing that we're talking about, all this stuff, because Doctor Strange can do that. I get that. But then when they just write in, well, Ned can do this too because his relative maybe had experience in the arts and he can just whip up portals just to get to the scene that, again, I love seeing all three Spider-Man from the different, like, there's no hate on that whatsoever. It's amazing. I'm in the feels about it, even down to when I'm getting confused. Not Tobey Maguire, but Andrew Garfield, when he saves Mary Jane.
Oh, Mary Jane,
yeah, she's falling and he saves her, and he like gets emotional because he's like, I got to save her this time.
That was a character driven point. And what you're saying is the other thing was
the
plot
vehicle.
Point.
Yes. The
and
writing
plot driven points don't really work well.
It's almost like it's almost like a film is shot. And I guarantee this is probably happening in the Marvel process. And this is my frustration with Marvel. And again, I have already said that this movie is solid. So don't register it as I'm hating the movie and this derailed the whole movie. It's going to sound like it because I'm going to touch on some more things.
Well, I think the point is that we're here to critique it.
I get it, but
I don't think there's a problem with you critiquing it.
But see, people will listen to this podcast and go, "Oh, well, you just hating it." It's like, well, no, you got to understand the intricacies of it. It's like, okay, two things can be true. No Way Home was a solid movie, right? And this is not about No Way Home, but I'm just trying to prove a point here. I don't know if I'm being effective or not. The thing for me personally, in my opinion, is when you write stuff in and it derails it. Like I can't. You're writing stuff in that just doesn't make any sense, and I think it's gotten relegated to that, and it's gotten relegated to dependence on end credit scenes to make the movie successful, and I think that's where. I think that's where I struggle sometimes because I think more people. The difference is when they say MCU is back, what that means is I was there when Thanos reveals his face for the first time. Did I read a Thanos book? No. Did I read the Infinity Gauntlet? No. But they're telling me that there's this bigger threat that makes me want to go, okay, what is that about? Right. Infinity War. We just had a Black Panther movie. Everybody's going in there with their dashikis, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he's gone because Thanos snapped his fingers. And then they end with funeral credits. That's MCU stuff. I'm getting chills talking about it right now. Hearing the audience respond to that and being in that experience, that is the MCU amusement ride that I'm on. And that is the expectation and the investment that I give when I pay my whatever dollars to go to an MCU movie. So I sympathize with Wally, not on bootlegging, which he has done, which is illegal, but
hey man, damn. Be locked up around him.
Right, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. But going to a theater, the MCU has already the first few phases have set the tone. These movies that we've gotten Shang-Chi. I actually appreciated Shang-Chi, but two things can be true. It became a CGI mess at the end. I feel like his battle with the father was more impactful than him fighting a dragon and punching it in the mouth. Absolutely. Like that's what I'm saying.
One is here's the core thing.
Last point. Sorry, and I'll let you go.
Ahead.
I think to cap that off, I think my frustration is I visibly see where a movie is shot, and then it goes back to the execs, and the execs say, "Well, in order for this to work, you got to inject this, and you got to put this in here, and we got to reshoot this, and then we got to." We got to put a dragon in here. It's like, because, again, I think this is a challenge that we have as mature audience members is this is a business. And at the end of the day, my box office numbers need to say that we are back in the first weekend. So that's why you see in the big yellow fonts, MCU is back, and all this stuff, But anyway, that's my thing. I feel like the process is a little flawed. It needs to get back to the love of the source material and not insult my intelligence on books that maybe I haven't even I know there's books that I've read and I know what the source material is, and there's books that I haven't read and I want to go to them. But when I go back to the books, and then the books don't necessarily have to line up, but I don't think there's a comic book out there where Bucky is a congressman.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I think the thing is, probably the two things come to mind. One, the biggest issue that I think most people, well, I ain't gonna say most people, but I think that happens generally for people, is that there are decisions that are character driven, and then there are decisions that are executive driven.
Exactly.
And so when you get an executive driven idea, it does not land the same way that a character driven idea will land in something that operates in the area of character. I will say, I don't know if I can agree with you about Bucky Barnes and his character's decision specifically, but I definitely understand what you're saying in a general sense. The other thing is that I recognize, and
I got other examples too that I want to point out in Thunderbolts too. But
definitely.
Go ahead.
The other thing is, I also recognize that I'm someone who loves this entire culture and Marvel and the comics and all of those things, but I'm somebody who just really doesn't care about the concept of MCU is back or MCU fails or none of that. It's either the story is good or
exactly.
It's not. And for me, this was a good story. Like they can advertise whatever. I don't even go with I only go with the expectation that this should be a good story for what the story that it is telling.
Right.
And if it can meet that criteria, then I'm willing to work with it.
Right.
But I don't like it, even if it doesn't. I don't care if they align with the whatever comic book, even the ones I grew up on.
Right.
If the story can work, I can live with it.
I completely agree with that.
I'm not big on my characters don't need to be the way that I remember them specifically.
Completely agree.
But the thing is that I think for instance, what makes this movie work for me is the fact that the executive decision is to have Sentry tear the city to pieces and then find some way that doesn't make sense on paper to stop him, because none of them are powerful enough to stop him.
Oh, gotcha. There's no way to stop him.
There's no way.
But an executive decision will find a way to make a punch fest in a situation where these guys can't win a punch fest.
I appreciate that about the film.
Yeah.
That was one of my positives.
They won the only way that they could. They won because they not only beat the character
by giving him a hug.
Yeah, they beat the character. Yeah, they beat the character, but they beat depression. The only way you can beat depression is by making a person feel valuable
and supported. Yes,
yeah.
And I got that. I got that. And I think they did that well.
Yeah,
I think the director pulled that off.
I thought all of that worked in character with characters who thematically were suffering from various levels of worthlessness, feeling worthless themselves. And so for me, thematically, the whole thing worked. I thought the way that one of the good things that the MCU used to do was that action always denoted character. So the way that they fought, the way that they would go about doing certain things, and I thought they did all of that really well. I would say, I'm trying to think of the things, because it wasn't a 10. This definitely wasn't like a 10.
No.
But I'm trying to think of the things that would be the thing that maybe missed the mark for me. And I don't know. I thought they used, because it was important that they used the backgrounds of those characters. They used the fact that they had to take them from other stories, and they used that backstory enough so that they could propel it forward, because it would have been hard to do with just characters you had never met before, and they were able to use that too. So.
Right. I think the other thing I struggle with, and I know this is going to be unpopular because I think a lot of people didn't like Taskmaster. And again, I appreciated, like, I actually watched Black Widow because I was like, did Taskmaster die? I can't remember, but she didn't. And I actually started to appreciate Yelena much more when she was introduced in Black Widow.
Yeah.
I actually like Black Widow. Like I thought it was a solid. I thought it was a solid movie. the point I'm trying to make is I liked how Taskmaster was introduced. I felt like the story was rich based off of the context. Like, okay, if you're taking these girls off the street, or society doesn't want anything to do with them, and this nefarious guy takes them and reprograms them to be assassins. Well, yeah, I can buy that the daughter of some, I guess, diplomat that Natasha blew up, she survives, and he takes her and puts all the Marvel stuff on her.
Yeah.
And then she becomes Taskmaster, and her power set is different because they're using technology for her to mimic through her visor the moves and stuff. It's not like in the comics where it was like, the guy, it was a guy, first off. Again, I don't have any I like when they change it up sometimes. I didn't have an issue with that. But to see her in Thunderbolts and then just get discarded, something felt off. It felt like a last minute writing decision. Like, we just need to just retcon her. And it didn't, it felt like that. And it also felt like, and it also felt like maybe in that moment she was too OP, and they were like, well, Ghost has to get the drop on her, and then the only way you can deal with her is in death, I guess. I don't know. Help me out here. I just like I
have no idea. I didn't have a problem with it, so I didn't think about it.
You see her in all the posters and stuff, and she in there with them. Yeah. But it's like no, like
it did feel like,
and it was almost like they treated her like it was almost like they wanted to do like a Suicide Squad thing, because there was some Suicide Squad members that died, but it was funny because they were being stupid, and then Weasel ended up being you thought he died, but he ended up being the character that survived because he's Weasel, which was hilarious, but I felt the Taskmaster thing was a little sloppy to me.
It did feel like they may have had other intentions for that character, but then last minute decided, and I don't know if it had, because there was a lot of blowback about Taskmaster. There's a friend of the podcast that is particularly perturbed by that version of Taskmaster, and in his mind, it was good riddance. So he was kind of, and so I don't know if there's a greater population out there that feels the same way and is almost like glad, but
that's what my frustration is. I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
I think that's what my frustration is, because I felt like the dynamic would have been maybe richer, because she doesn't do a lot of talking. No. You know what I'm saying? She is definitely broken, more than all of them, pretty much. Right. She's rebuilt parts. And she's killed a lot of people, Yelena has killed a lot of people. Taskmaster, and then that's the other part. At the end of Black Widow, Yelena and Taskmaster go off into the sunset with the rest of the Red Room, and then Yelena watches her get a bullet put in her brain, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's the writing. That's where I'm kind of like,
I think that was a character moment that didn't sit well either.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right. That was definitely a character moment that should have worked out. They could have taken her death and used it as something, as an emotional anchor point for the rest of the story. But they didn't.
I think Red Guardian was great comic relief. I feel like they used Bucky for comic relief, because it was kind of like, well, let's take this cool guy and just.
I get the impression that both of y'all just don't like the fact that Bucky wasn't enough of a badass.
That is annoying. That did rub me the wrong way a little bit.
Let me pose it to you this way: if Iron Man got regulated to that, will we be having this conversation?
What do you mean?
If Iron Man becomes nothing,
dude.
Well, you got to remember, again, for me, the fact that the Hulk got beat in the first few minutes of Infinity War didn't bother me.
Oh boy,
that didn't bother me.
Well, no, because
and the fact that he never became Hulk again, not the Hulk that we remember, that never bothered me. Ooh, that didn't bother me at all. I don't have it's because for me, it's always the story is first. Now, does it do anything to help the story? It doesn't. Right. But does it do anything to harm the story?
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
So for me, because I don't have what I'm saying is I grew up, X-Men is my favorite comic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up loving X-Men, but even though I did, and this is just how the way my brain works. It's not a qualitative thing. It's like, well, that makes me I think about it better than the other people. No. It's just simply that the attachments that most of us as fans have to the characters, I don't have in such a way that when the character is not used the way that I would like for them to be used, it doesn't do anything for the story. It doesn't do anything to the story to me as long as the story works. That's all I really care about.
And granted, I know we're not necessarily sorry, I don't mean to derail too much, but like I think my struggle is the comics are ridiculous as well. Let me put that. This is all make believe. I get it. Like you can read the comics and Batman's getting dropped from space and he can land on Earth and still survive. A person that's not superpowered, and that was actually written in a comic book. I know those things can happen. Yeah. I think with Marvel, I don't want to just put it on Marvel, but I think with some comic book movies fail is just kind of like, well, it's all make believe anyway, so yeah, we can just write this in. Yeah, nobody will catch that, And I guess I am invested in Marvel. I'm like you. I love the MCU. I still do, and I still root for them. They've done some missteps. I think they've watered down the brand. I think they've killed Nick Fury's character through writing. Mm-hmm. And I keep seeing that the things that made us feel like the MCU is back are the very things that are being rehashed to us and going, well, Nick Fury is, in space, herding cats. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess the thing is, I don't know if they're back or not. But and mind you, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the MCU is back. That's marketing jargon because we're up against Sinners, and Sinners is a smash hit, and we need to guarantee that people are going to sit here. And if you tell the American public that MCU is back, everybody's going to buy a ticket.
Let's be clear. That wasn't a marketing thing that I read. That wasn't.
Well, sorry,
that came from
the trailers that have been coming out when it released.
Right? Is that right?
It's flashed up because they took that line and said, and you're right.
I see.
You read it.
Okay.
And they've been.
This was like Reddit and everywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So they've actually marketed that thing.
Because
of somebody.
Because of public sentiment.
Yeah.
And again.
That's good money. I would take that too and put that out there.
Yeah. But anyway, the movie was solid. The movie was solid for me. It's just, do I feel like MCU is back? I think it's yet to be seen.
Yeah. I'd like for it to be back. I don't care generally though. As long as if they can't give me stories that I care about, I don't care about them coming back. It can all die on the vine as far as I'm concerned. If I can't get good stories,
right?
And this was the first one in a while.
I agree.
In the movies that was a coherent story. It had a singular vision, and it was like it's one person who had an idea of what this needs to be about, and they saw that through to the end. And without, obviously it's not, it doesn't mean it didn't have any mistakes or things. But
all movies are going to have mistakes.
Yeah, but they were able to see it through to the end. Whereas like when we talk about Brave New World, and I was just like, I don't know what's happening here. It wasn't a singular vision. I ask, for me, the idea, for instance, of Falcon is someone who is, him being Captain America is not him trying to be like Steve Rogers. Right. It can't be him stopping to get into hand-to-hand combat with some dude who's faster and bigger and stronger than him does not make sense.
Right.
Not when he can do something else, because that's what he should be doing.
Right.
And the fact that he's a counselor and he reverts to counseling people, I'm not saying that they should get rid of the action, but you got to make the action fit character. That's the thing that I think hurts that movie is like, it's just...
Didn't he beat him with counseling though?
Well, he beat the Red Hulk with counseling.
Oh yeah.
But I'm talking about in the beginning of it. He's got a scene where he's fighting a guy and everything. His hand-to-hand combat, he gets a rib broken. It's like there was no reason for that to ever happen in the first place. They could have had action that showed him outsmarting the guy. They wouldn't have had Black Widow fight that guy that way because Black Widow didn't fight that way. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I'm saying. That movie was written by committee, and you could see it from the beginning to the end. It felt as if
it did have a lot of reshoots.
Yeah, it was exactly. So each time somebody else was throwing their ideas in the pot,
right.
And it never adhered to one singular vision. Mm-hmm. Even when a movie is bad, at least if it has a singular vision, you can disagree with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're not crazy about talking about depression, you can at least say, "I'm not crazy about talking about depression." Mm-hmm. But
and then that would just be a you thing. Well, hey, just not my cup of tea.
Brave New World, you can't say what you were against because you don't know what it was for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They had a chance to make it about something, but it didn't seem to be about.
It was about tissue.
Yeah.
And what I mean by tissue is
about trying to make
here's antimantium.
Make sense of that.
Come to the theaters. We said antimantium. It's ringing nostalgia. I think the problem I have with Marvel is it's the ringing of nostalgia bells, and I get it. It's a business.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're gonna ring the nostalgia bell, like write it in there. Like, you know, I think it's just tough for me to accept. Like, it's not the fact that Bucky, and it seems like I'm focused on Bucky. I'm not. But I think I'm trying to point out the point. Like, if you're going to tell me we live in a world where Bucky is a congressman, explain
his motivation
and
that
why
good.
It just kind of gets skirted over and I get a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't mind the joke because
I don't mind it either if it made sense to his
the motivation.
character.
I agree.
Right.
There should have been motivation, and they probably could have put. To be perfectly honest, they should have probably had him more in Brave New World to build upon that motivation, or in something to give you an idea of what his motivation was. Because the idea of him becoming a congressman doesn't necessarily seem crazy, but the fact that they don't dig into it, but again, they weren't. A lot of these movies have not been focused on character for quite a while.
That's correct.
That's true. And I think also the frustration was, okay, you gave me a series where this dude was fighting John Walker for practically the whole series, and then they get together and it's no mention of it, or like, you know, like
that didn't. I don't know if that. I don't think they.
You don't think that's required?
Yeah, well, it's not that. It's that you had a lot of characters in this, and they already were working with a lot of exposition. Mm-hmm. And if you can only have so much exposition before you, it's like, what are we doing here? Is we either moving forward or we aren't? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I get where you come from. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I probably derailed a lot of this, but I think
not really. You're telling people what it is you thought about the movie, and I think that's the idea. He was telling what he thought about it. I think that's what you guys are supposed to be doing, is telling people what your feelings and thoughts are about these properties.
So this kind of goes into. I think for me, it's a positive and a negative of the film. Mm-hmm. I think Marvel has an issue with overpowered characters, right? Mm-hmm. Not to jump around, but one thing that I find exciting about the new Superman that's coming out is there is a sense that there's going to be writing involved where he gets powered to a point where it makes sense. With Sentry. Now, I will say the saving grace was these guys can't punch out of Sentry doing what he's doing, with the Void. And they set up that, okay, in order to be the Sentry, you also have to be the Void as well. Which I get the symbolism. If you're a human being, there's going to be good and bad feelings that we all struggle with. Like I got that clear, and I thought they did that in a creative way. But I think in the bigger storyline, which Marvel has trained us to do, there's these overpowered characters, and they're either on the board or they just completely get thrown off the board. And it's like with him, I guess maybe with his mental health situation, they're able to keep him on the board and then use them later. I guess when there's Secret Wars or whatever. Or
well, how much of
Doomsday.
these? I want to ask a question.
But then then, like,
I want to ask both of y'all this question because I've had these discussions before with other fans, and I always realize a lot of the critiques that I hear from long-standing diehard fans are critiques that are rooted in what has happened before and what may happen later, but not necessarily what is happening right then and there.
Right.
And so, because I've heard that about, well, what are they going to do with? It's like, I don't know what they're going to do. They could screw it up, but I can't hold that against this film.
That's true.
This film, what they did with the character, they did what they should have done with the character to make sense. Because if Thor ain't there, if Hulk ain't there, if they ain't got at least a telepath there to maybe quell this situation, those guys ain't stopping Sentry. And if they did, it would have been ridiculous for them to do it. But they needed to stop him, and they found a way to write it in a way that made sense because the character historically has a mental health issue.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so they made the entire film about mental health. And it's like,
right.
So it works.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But how much of, I guess that's something I always notice in these conversations is that we talk about, because for me, when I think about the film, I don't think about the state of the Marvel Universe.
And see, that's the thing. The majority of fans do because they want to know exactly how this is going to fit because that's the only thing.
And we've been conditioned to do. That is the only thing they come for. It is a universe system.
Yeah. And I've always said, man, I feel like the universe is like the gift and the curse. It's like, I feel like movies were better written when there was an understanding that this was it. Because now you talked about one vision. That's very hard to achieve when you have a series, right? Yeah. Now you got this director's vision, you got this writer's vision. If we don't agree, and be on your way. Let's bring in another one. You can't have one director, one writer for movie 1 and another one for movie 2. And then even for another character related to this movie later to not at least collaborate with the writer of those who are planning to meld these stories together. And the universe, it is just so problematic. And then you couple that with the executive you spoke about. We need this done. We're not waiting 10 years to finish a phase, and we want that money. If they've gotten a taste of the money, billions, and we want this now. Yeah, and that's why Christopher Nolan had gone on record and was like, I wouldn't do nothing for universe because I have a vision. No one's gonna tell me how and when I'm going to produce anything. Yeah, and so now you have that problem. And so I think the stories can be jeopardized as a result, and I don't think we'll ever get back to what the MCU was because let's be honest, it was an accident. They rolled the dice on Robert Downey and in that Iron Man on a character nobody cared about. Nobody was checking for Iron Man. It was X-Men for life, but they didn't have the properties. So let's just put together literally scraps in a cave and build this thing, and then it kind of accidentally became this thing.
But it wasn't by
10 years. Well, I mean,
but it wasn't by accident.
Yeah,
though.
but man,
the first few movies, yes, it was kind of like filling out.
Right.
But over time, the
key term being time. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, but
they understood. It's like they weren't in this hurry because they didn't know what the potential of this was. Once they got a taste of what it could be after Endgame was over with, they was like, you know what? Let's do it again. Kang. And they fast tracked everything. And it just turned into trash.
I agree 100% what you're saying. I think what happened was after Endgame, they had Disney Plus. And then they had to create series. They had to create more things.
I've been on record and said Endgame was a 3-hour-long commercial for Disney Plus. That's what that was. And I'm just like, man, come on, here we go.
Was Disney Plus
It hadn't hit street yet.
Yeah,
but were they planning on it?
Yes.
I think they had been planning. I don't know what the whole details were, but
they had already announced it was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And this was an advertisement. It was just like, here we go.
I just think the issue is that once you have that many properties, you got all of these different series,
the focus
and all of that. Yeah, they didn't have the ability to contain and work on all of it the same way they did in the early parts when they were planning with fewer items.
Yeah.
They were able to do a better job.
I think ultimately what I'm trying to say, because without sounding like a broken record, is it would be easy for me to join Wally in the hate. I don't.
Join me.
I don't. I do think that the film did a lot of things right.
Yeah.
I just, I think I need to accept that. And I had a friend point this out to me. I had a very insightful conversation about this. I feel like that I've just been chasing dope.
Yeah.
I've been chasing the feeling. And when somebody is ringing the nostalgia bell and I know it's not true, I think that's where the frustration comes in. Because I know we have entered the McDonald's stage. This is fast food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are going to hate me for saying this, but they have found a formula where I can give you enough red meat to stay invested in the MCU. We might get lucky and have a director that really is getting in there like a Tony Gilroy type director that's really getting in there and really squeezing that source material and it becomes something grander. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be a string of when are we going to get to Doomsday? I think I struggle with you can tell that the money requires that we need to announce that Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why are you telling me this when you can reveal it later? Do the work, but it's I think and again, I'm trying to give them a pass because the whole Jonathan Majors thing blew up in their face.
Yeah.
And even with Kang Dynasty, it was still kind of like, man, Quantumania didn't.
Yeah, Quantumania was horrible.
It was horrible.
I think, the thing is, you're absolutely right. In the whole McDonald's analogy, when they made the Robert Downey Jr. announcement, they weren't making that.
That was a big meal announcement.
They weren't making that announcement for us. They were making that for shareholders.
You better know it.
The shareholders needed to hear that. So
right.
that's a business decision. That is not a creative decision.
So with that being said, and we know that the audience we know what the triggers is to get the audience there, and we look at the stock market almost every day.
Every day.
And it's funny, the games that are played to make sure that stock price goes to the right.
Right around earnings time, especially.
Right. And I think over time, just maturing over it, I think there is an innocence I need to either go back to. I need to just walk in the theater and go, hey, I just want to be entertained.
Uh-huh.
And I don't need to really have this expectation of, did this thread connect to this thread like you're doing? And I think that's where I probably need to go with the Marvel movies. But
there's a certain level of joy in having this interconnected universe that we all admittedly wanted our entire lives before any of these movies were created.
But what's chilling is we're going to get a Superman and you already know it's laced with connective tissue.
Yeah. All the characters that they have shown in just the trailer lets you know that this is a part of a larger connected universe.
So I think our hope is, if that is the case, I think our hope now is, is James Gunn going to be directly involved in every single aspect of these movies moving forward? He's directing Superman.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably directing Peacemaker, I think. But he can't direct every single movie that's coming out from DC.
Nope.
And again, we're speaking in a world where I'm not saying Marvel has to be a hit every time. That's unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
By the they're putting out 5 different properties this year alone. Like, I'm not expecting everyone to be a hit.
Yeah.
But I think with Thunderbolts, like, I think Century being on the board is very interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with them.
Yeah.
Because it's like they've already shown that he can just black everything out. So
well, he can't, because that means if everything's blacked out, that means that he's already lost, because that's the void. That's not him.
I know, but the void has taken over, and it's like game over for everybody. They blacked out New York City, and I don't even know what blacking out means. It's like, okay, I guess you just disappear and you're in his world. I guess that's what they were trying to say. And I don't know a lot about Centuries.
I definitely don't know. I think, again, this is what you're talking about is that you're trying to find out what's going to happen next again. And it's like, what happened was, the way the depression, in my own experience, works is that it is a void. It is an abyss in which, once you've been trapped in it, you're trying to figure a way out, and it's just like it's nothingness. You know what I'm saying? Or usually, or the best way to describe depression is that it is you reliving a piece of past trauma on a loop.
Right.
Something that you simply cannot change.
Right.
Because that's what he's doing in the movies. He's reliving his own past trauma in a loop. Whereas anxiety is you anticipating something that hasn't happened yet on a loop that you can't control.
Right.
And that the best way in order to be in the best mental health is to be present right in the moment.
Right.
And so what the mechanics of how that works with the void, I have no idea. But
and again, I might be watching it too deeply. I know that they were doing things like they did the Natasha, where the Black Widow thing where she bounces off of Captain America's shield and jumps on the Shatari ship. They did this in the, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then the announcement thing was a la Iron Man, right? Mm-hmm. Where Tony Stark's like, guess what, folks? I'm Iron Man. And then it just like that was a moment, Yeah. I think, and again, I hate that I'm being nitpicky with this stuff, but it's like, they have this battle with Sentry. I get that. They did that well. They're kind of all like shell shocked from it, like, oh, we just did that. And all of Manhattan Island was like blacked out. Everybody's like, whoa, what happened? But there was time enough for a press conference to get set up. You know what I'm saying? And again, I sound like I'm nitpicking, but like literally not even a day passes, or like, let's calm down from what just happened. Valentina's already got mics set up. Yeah. And the mics, you're basically saying that these mics were set up while they were in the void.
That's correct.
To me, like that's what it's saying. And again, that's where you have that's where I failed to turn my brain off.
I don't disagree with
right.
Those,
and it's fine. I get it. It's a movie. It's make believe. It's all make believe.
I guess I think I get what you're saying. A lot of things you're saying sound logistical.
And rushed. It just feels like, well,
they could have taken a beat. They could have taken a beat.
Avengers.
Yeah, they could have taken a beat to just do the press conference a few days later in the story.
Literally put up a card and say a few days later. So
something like that. No, I get that. I don't disagree at all. I don't know if when I think of the things that hurt a movie for me are usually less logistical and more thematic. Right. And that's probably the biggest difference between us.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's almost like I don't disagree with you at all.
Because I think Valentina didn't know,
there's no
I'm going to take this opportunity. She was trying to kill all of them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There wasn't a point in the film, like now Sentry was a mistake, and she was like, oh, wait, I got an overpowered being? Mm-hmm. Let me focus on him. But I don't think she was like, well, I'm going to turn this around and make this a new Avengers in the midst of a world ending event happening. And I think that's where I struggle a little bit.
Tough, No, I get you.
And I think that's the only thing, and that's why I put an asterisk on my review.
I see what you did there.
So
I see that.
And maybe that was a point. Maybe they were like, yeah, this is Avengers-ish.
Yeah, I don't think that everything you just pointed out, I don't think any of what they did there was justifiable.
Right.
I think you're right. 100%.
Right.
I'm just saying that what I was saying is that for me, the things that make a movie not work are usually thematic,
right?
And for you, those things are it's not necessarily is it coherent thematically? Like like if they had punched punched the century out or found some kind of way to make it a physical battle for them to
that would not have made sense
because it would have altered the theme of the movie. The action would have altered the theme.
That's right.
It's like what he's talking about is these are some of these logistical things that simply that's just poor writing. They should have done that.
Right.
It's poor writing on a plot level.
Right.
On a plot level that they should have corrected. He's absolutely right. It's like it's I recognize it's wrong. It's just that I'm willing to let it slide.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is I'm saying those are frustrations. And you can dial up the level of frustration with it, whatever. If you call out a movie, I can tell you my level of frustration. I think the difference is now, I think over the 8 years of doing podcasting, I think I have started to get to a place where it's like, my goal is not to sell people on. Do you see my point? This is frustrating.
Right. We're done with that.
The consistent thought is I am a self-admitted heroin addict when it comes to these geek culture movies. Day one, I'm going to be there. The only difference between me and the person that's like, well, you can have Howard the Duck come in here and it don't matter. I'm going to watch this film anyway. The only difference, I'm just trying to just state the difference. Like, two things are going to be true with me moving forward when we're reviewing movies. The movie would have to be really bad for me to get on the level. Like, Wally has every right to feel like this movie wasn't for him.
Yeah.
And I am, even though I'm the gatekeeper of civility and order, he's willing. I'm going to give him space to let that hate out, because he don't need to keep that inside. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm just trying to. I think a lot of times in geek culture, we try to convince other people, like, well, you're not seeing my point, and we get into these arguments, and the goal is we're all consistently loving this thing, whether it's Star Wars or whatever, and not realizing that there's a spectrum of fandom,
for sure,
and everybody's opinion should be respected.
Yeah. I think the thing that you guys should always remember with what you're doing is that your listener is not here to agree or disagree with you.
Correct.
Your listener is here to gauge you.
Right.
Your listener knows that when I've been listening to you guys for years. I know that there are certain things, like when we were talking about Andor, and I already know if I'm talking about animation, he's out. Wally is out on it. So
I will give it a chance.
And
I watched that Spider-Man.
And I wouldn't want to try to convince him that he needs to be into animation.
Oh, that's my job. Offline, I'll say, Wally, the
story's great.
But the listener,
the story is great. I'll start off with story great.
Yes, but the listener already knows both of you. Yes. So what the listener is doing is they're going to listen, engage how they should feel based on what they know about you. So if he likes it, then I know that I will or I won't like it. That's what a listener does. I'm telling you, as a listener, that's what we as listeners do. We listen and we hear you say something. I don't need to agree or disagree. I just want to know what you think, because it's going to give me an idea roughly of where I fall based on what you think. It's like, oh well, I already know he hates this, so there's no use in me even trying to act like I can gauge against that to say, that's going to be great. It's
right.
Like, because, but the fact that you like a certain thing for the reasons that only you would like it lets me know what I would think about it.
Right.
And then I act on that. I base on that. And that's what your listeners are going to do. So no, I don't think you should ever worry about whether they agree or disagree. They're not there to agree or disagree. They're in community with you. All of us are in community.
Well, you see online where people are arguing and they're going back and forth. And I know we've had some lively discussions on our little friend chat about, and I even got to a point where I just stopped arguing about it. And it's like, well, hey, this just not. I think in trying to sell somebody on, like, well, here's the frustration. I think there is a desire for me. I'm speaking to the wrong person. I should be talking to Kevin Feige. It's like or whoever's responsible for making sure that gets inputted in there. But the thing that is always consistent and true is we all go to this stuff for an amount of joy. Mm-hmm. And I think we just have to gauge, like, if it's consistently not, doing the thing that you wanted to do, it's probably time to just say, hey, deuces, but I think Marvel has done enough to keep me interested, but I will point out on this podcast when I'm being sold to, and when things just don't add up, like,
and you should. You absolutely should.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing I did not expect is getting a welcome education from the smartest man in Central Time.
Right.
He's been in the business for a long time, and,
right.
and any insight and advice on how to better understand our listeners and to move accordingly is welcome. Welcome advice. So that's appreciated.
Yeah.
That said, I still hated that damn movie.
And I disagree with you on your insightful take on something. It was just you defending them.
He's still the smartest
now we've contradicted ourselves in that whole soliloquy we just had.
Oh man.
As always,
the saga continues.
As always. We want to know your thoughts again. Van, tell everybody where they can find the scenario.
You can find the scenario on all of the places wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to go to YouTube, you can find all of our episodes from this season. We don't have as many episodes this season. We've had it's been a tumultuous 2025 for us. So we've been trying to get episodes out, but you can find us on YouTube, and you can also find us everywhere.
How do you do it?
How do you?
There's so much stuff happening. It's like, where do you focus? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if all else fails, make sure to subscribe to www.thescenarioradioshow.com, and you'll always get what we've got from there.
There it is.
I'll put in make sure I put in the episode notes too.
Man. Thank you all for riding with us and getting back on the train after having stopped service. Excuse me, for so long. So thank y'all again. What's on? We don't have anything. What are we going to talk about next?
Next episode, they're going to be interviewing Wally's bootleg.
What?
The Wire.
All right, y'all. I'll let y'all play me out of here, y'all. Is that police out here?
The mics are still live, y'all. Still live.